All right, let's dive right in. We are about to explore one of humanity's oldest and maybe one of its most profound mysteries. It's a story that, if you believe the clues, doesn't actually begin here on our planet, but way up there in the stars. And that quote right there, that's really the heart of what we're talking about today. See, for thousands and thousands of years, way before anyone was writing anything down, our ancestors were leaving messages. But they weren't in books. They were carved right into the earth itself. And you know what? Those messages, they tell a very strange and surprisingly consistent story. So let's just get right to it. This is the big question, isn't it? Was all of this ancient art, all these myths, just a product of imagination? Or were our earliest ancestors actually eyewitnesses to something extraordinary? Something we've maybe long forgotten? You know, what's so wild is when you start to look at these ancient records, not just from one place, but from all over the world, this pattern starts to emerge. It's a message that seems almost too specific, too widespread to just be a coincidence. And I mean, we are talking about cultures that, according to everything we know, should have never met. From the deserts of Africa to the mountains of South America, all the way to the plains of the American Midwest. And it's not just oceans separating them, it's time. We're talking thousands of years between some of these accounts. And yet, somehow, they all seem to be telling the same basic story. So what exactly was that story? Well, it pretty much boils down to this three-step pattern over and over again. First, visitors come down from the sky. Second, they give humanity some kind of game-changing knowledge that sparks this huge leap forward. And third, they leave, but they promise to come back one day. This is the pattern we're going to track. Okay, so our first piece of evidence, it's the art. It's these incredibly strange figures that keep popping up in remote caves and on rock walls in places that had absolutely no way of communicating with each other. Just look at this. This is what some people call the impossible similarities. Over in Algeria, you've got these figures with huge round heads. They look like they're wearing helmets. Then you go to Australia, and the Wandjina have these stark white faces, huge black eyes, and what looks like a glowing halo. And then in Italy, same thing. Round helmets, weird tools, even rays of light coming from their heads. The one thing they all have in common is they don't look human. And trust me, the list just keeps going. The Hopi have stories of the ant people with these strange, elongated heads who save them. In Japan, you find these Dogu statues that look for all the world like they're wearing some kind of armored suit. The Sumerians carved their gods coming down from the sky. The Egyptians talked about these shining ones who came from the stars. It really is a global phenomenon. All right, so that's the art, but now we get to our second clue, and this one is a biggie. It's not just about what these visitors looked like, it's about what they supposedly did. So many of these ancient cultures claimed that these beings gave them advanced knowledge, and it triggered these sudden, massive leaps in human progress. And you can really see that jump when you look at the timeline. For tens of thousands of years, humanity is basically just nomadic hunter-gatherers. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, bam, Göbekli Tepe. A few thousand years later, the Sumerians are inventing writing and mapping the solar system. Then the Egyptians are building geometrically perfect pyramids. The archaeological record doesn't show this slow, gradual learning curve. It's more like a sudden explosion of knowledge. So what kind of knowledge are we talking about? Well, the legends are really specific. It's not vague stuff. We're talking agriculture, advanced astronomy, math, massive engineering projects, even written language. These are, literally, the building blocks of civilization. And so many ancient cultures said, yeah, we didn't figure this out on our own. It was a gift. And here's what's so important to remember. This isn't some modern theory we're just pasting onto the past. The Sumerians themselves, one of the first real civilizations, they said it flat out. Their name for their gods, the Anunnaki, literally translates to those who from heaven to earth came. They made no secret about where they believed all their know-how came from. Okay, which brings us to our third and honestly, maybe the most mind-blowing clue, the actual stuff they left behind. These massive, precision-engineered structures that all seem to be reaching for the stars, almost like a message they were sending back to their teachers. Let's just start with Göbekli Tepe, right? Built more than 11,000 years ago. The carved pillars there weigh up to 20 tons. 20 tons! And we're told this was built by hunter-gatherers. The question isn't just why they built it, it's how. And if you think that's crazy, then you get to a place like Baalbek in Lebanon. We're talking foundation stones that weigh over 800 tons. One of them is over 1,000. I mean, our best modern cranes would break a sweat trying to move and place these stones with that kind of precision. It just defies what we think we know about ancient capabilities. But here's the kicker. These places aren't just giant, heavy rocks. They're smart. They're basically giant celestial maps. From Göbekli Tepe to the pyramids, all the way to Angkor Wat, they are perfectly lined up with constellations like Orion and Sirius, constellations that were always deeply connected to their sky gods. They are messages, carved in stone, pointing directly to the heavens. So, okay, let's put it all together. You've got this strangely similar art from cultures that never met. You've got these sudden leaps in knowledge, and you have these impossibly advanced monuments that are all pointing up to the sky. How do you connect those dots? Let's look at the main theories that try to explain all of it. Well, the one theory that really tries to tie it all up in a neat bow is this one, the ancient visitor theory. The idea is simple. Actual extraterrestrial beings visited Earth a long, long time ago, and their advanced technology was just so far beyond what early humans could understand that they misinterpreted it as divinity. In this view, they weren't gods, they were astronauts. Now, of course, that is not the only explanation out there. Not by a long shot. There's the collective archetype theory, which suggests these sky beings are basically universal symbols that come from our shared human subconscious, kind of like instinctual characters in our collective dreams. Then there's the lost civilization theory, which proposes that an incredibly advanced human civilization was wiped out and the survivors passed on their knowledge. And finally, you have cultural convergence, which basically argues it's all a massive coincidence, that different cultures just happen to come up with similar myths to explain powerful things they couldn't understand, like lightning or the stars. So, what's the takeaway here? Well, whether these are distorted memories of a real event, some kind of deep-seated archetype, or the echoes of a lost human civilization, the pattern itself is undeniable. Humanity's oldest stories all point to the sky, and they almost always end with the exact same kind of haunting idea. The visitors left, but they promised to return. Which leaves us all to wonder, were they right?